Hi, I'm Jessica with Mitzi Sullivan's podcast, and today I'm going to be talking to you about 990s, and that is a federal tax form. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what requirements there are and who is required to file. So without further ado, I'm going to first start off with who is required to file a 990. That would be any organization with a federal tax-exempt status. So you have to be operating in the United States to file this U.S. tax return, but there are some exceptions to who is required to file. As a general rule, churches are not typically required to file 990s because they're a religious organization. Along that same line, church-affiliated organizations aren't required to file. Schools below college level, maybe a private Christian high school, wouldn't be required to file one because it has a religious order attached to it, or certain governmental organizations aren't required to file, and certain political organizations. I won't go into those just because they're very specific. If this applies to you, you can look into it further on the IRS website. Just going into some basic requirements for each type of 990. So if you've identified yourself as a tax-exempt organization that is required to file one, then there's a few different options at that point. The 990N is for the smallest organizations. If you have gross receipts of $50,000 or less, that's, if you're pulling your bank statement for the whole year and you got $50,000 in deposits from donations, t-shirt sales, what have you, you would be required to file a 990N. If you go above $50,000 at all, that bumps you up to the 990 Easy. That's where gross receipts are less than $200,000. So again, you're pulling your bank statements. If deposits up to $200,000, this is the form you would file. And then the other stipulation is that your total assets are less than $500,000. So that would be your cash, your equipment belonging to the organization, maybe a house was donated, so you would put that on the books as at fair market value, anything like that. So that would be a 990 Easy as long as you don't go above $200,000 in gross receipts and $500,000 in total assets. The next form up is the largest and most complicated 990, which typically people do have a CPA draft this one as a rule of thumb, but that's when your gross receipts exceed, as you can guess, $200,000 and assets exceed $500,000. So at that point, you have to keep a lot more detailed record of everything that you've done throughout the year, whether it's special events or any kind of sales that you've done throughout the year, and expenses by administrative program and fundraising. So you have to just keep a lot more detailed record of your books at that point. And then the other one that you may hear about is the 990PF. That is only for private foundations. No matter the size of private foundation, the 990PF is what you'll file. So the due dates for these 990s are the 15th day of the 5th month after your year-end closes. So if you're a typical organization, you probably close December 31st. That would mean you file by May 15th. Or you can extend it and file by November 15th. Extensions are not available for 990Ns, only the 990 Easy and the 990 long form, which is the big one. Just some consequences of what not filing looks like. If you had a CPA, a lawyer, whoever established this nonprofit, get you tax-exempt status, and you don't file for 3 years, that nonprofit status is revoked, and you may be required to go back and file an 1120, which is just a corporation tax return, and pay taxes and penalties on all those years that you would be considered not tax exempt just because you didn't file the 990. So it's always good to keep up with your nonprofit. It can be a great thing to start out, and then some people don't keep up with it and it catches up to them later. And once you are revoked, if you have to go back and file and pay taxes, you still can reinstate that tax exempt status. I have a summary attachment in the links below if you want to check out just a brief summary on this. If you want to see more videos like this, like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.